Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. And hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. I'm getting my lights adjusted here because they're sort of off this evening. Welcome to another episode of the Tracy Show. I'm Tracy, and as you can see, I am flying solo tonight. I had expected a guest who hasn't came in yet. So it's just going to be just me. I'm hoping that he'll come in tonight. Sending out another email. So um I think there's him coming right now. So before I bring on my guest for today, I'm going to get some bills paid. So we're gonna start this. No, we're not. We're gonna go up here. I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest on. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Tracy, and thank you for having me on today.
Hello. So, usually, I start this show off by doing some announcements first, and then I'll get to the interview second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, like I said, welcome to everybody here. So, I'm going to get these bills paid and get to the interview tonight. I'm having trouble seeing you for some reason. Okay, that's better. Um, First of all, everybody watching this, please subscribe to the channel. I have 139. I know I'm not going to meet the 1,000, but at least 300 subscribers by year's end would make me feel so much better. So subscribe to the channel. I'll be talking about this through the evening. Register for my virtual scavenger hunt that is happening on November the 4th. The link can be found on my webpage as well as the link here. You can support me at buymeacoffee.com/TRACYMedia LLC. You can visit us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, Substack, and Rumble. So, um, before I get started, now, usually I normally bring on the candidate themselves, but the candidate themselves could not be here. So they contacted me and said, would I be fine with interviewing the campaign manager? So my questions are going to be a little bit different, but hopefully we'll get to the same outcome. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you again, Tracy. Yes, my name is Nissan, and I'm with the Daví Presidential 24 campaign, and we're here to present for the campaign what we call Earth Order. It's a new system of for equality that provides equal salaries for chosen work, access to home exchange, and covers all healthcare costs.
Okay, so usually I ask, and you may know the answer to this, and if I mispronounced the candidate's name wrong, because I've been practicing it, and I'm like, I think I got it, but I'm not 1,000% sure, even though I just heard you say it. Um, what made Daví, or did I get that right?
Avatar Daví,
Daví. Thank you.
Davee, Daví.
Daví. Thank you. I knew I was going to get that wrong. I'm like, okay. What made Daví want to run not for mayor, city council, um, governor, just go right for president of the United States?
Well, he already ran for mayor in 2021 as a candidate, as you know, in New York, here in New York. And right now we're moving past that and we're trying to go and reach the presidential campaign because to provide this new plan. And it's a collective idea to bring on and actually gain through the presidency a whole new system that we need in order to give equality to the American human.
And so, what made you want to be a part of the campaign? What was it that stood out about this campaign that you just said to yourself, I have to be a part of it?
Because this is the only system I've seen that actually provide a system built around the concept of equality itself, and it's from the ground and it's from the ground up. Not trying to reform systems little here and there with policies, but a brand new, entirely new way of doing things that gives people back their power and control and a say in the system.
And he's running with the Green Party. Am I right?
We're currently seeking a nomination for the Green Party.
Okay, got it. So that nomination or that the selecting of the candidate won't be until I want to say June or July, one of those 2 months.
Yes, that will probably be July at this point. Things are being slow with the Green Party. Yes.
Now, so when you were first, you first interested in the campaign, did you find him on like a website? Had you
No,
heard about him before, or how did that all work?
no. For me, I was actually a part doing work in the Bronx Green Party, and part of one of our Bronx Green Party meetings, he came on and advertised his entire plan. And after hearing him out and what he has to say, it sounded like it was the best plan.
And I'm good because I read most of the platform, not all
Okay.
of it, but the majority of it. I'm going to ask questions because I'm assuming most of our audience out there has not read the platform. So if I sound like I don't know, I have really read it. I really have. But I always speak to my audience. I'm pretty sure they have it. So when you're functioning as a campaign manager, something I've always wanted to do, but I've never actually found a candidate that I can support. What are your daily duties? Like, what is it that you do every day to make sure that your candidate has the spotlight that he needs to get across his message?
Well, every day consists of organizing, and I've been part of many groups to do different organizing. And it's about reaching out, talking to people, it's getting into communities, and getting the people and listening to what they have to say, and constantly contacting, emailing, and getting in front of people to try to push our message of our thought of witches and our areas of focus, which is, you know, rehabilitation, um, which is the American Refresh, a 4-year transition where through pace collective voting, Americans vote for the exact government we want moving forward, intentionally managing the growth of technology, rehabilitation and recycling, providing healing-oriented support for those ailing in body, mind, and behavior, finding harmony and balance between usage and contribution of birth, and a mediated wing of the police, an emergency mediated wing of the police on demand that mediates the tough situations, conversations without guns, batons, or slow court dates.
Okay, so there was another question that I just had. It. Oh my goodness, this is the portion where I'll go ahead and ask you this question. So as you, I, and everybody else knows on this program, and before I get to my question, if you're in the audience watching, please know that you can put questions in the comment section. I always appreciate when the audience talks back. So you don't have to just sit there. You can put your question and we'll get to it if we can. Um, I want to talk a little bit about peace in terms of international peace. The United States is involved in two wars. We have the war in Ukraine that we've been funding. And now we have the war in the Gaza Strip between Israel and Palestine. What would be Daví's platform in addressing a peace solution? And I'm just assuming he's for a peace solution, but actually, what would be his how would he address peace instead of what it is America is doing right now in just terms of making the military industrial complex richer.
Yes, we're all for peace, but we want to focus on America because the war is mostly being put off, like you said, by the industrial military complex. So the problem really is at home. We don't want to sanction, continued funding of continuous wars in the Middle East, especially one that is pretty much funding war crimes. Saying, so we want to focus here about bringing about America and American humans together and actually voting on what we actually want instead of following along and reacting to what other people are doing. We want to be more proactive in our government. We want people to be more proactive in the government and to speak out and to actually go and give the opportunity to have their voice heard by providing with the American. That's what the American. That's what the 4-year transition is about. Is provide a voting system that allows us to then collectively vote for the things that we do want, and not dictate what other people are doing.
So you're talking about, if I'm understanding this right, moving away from our current policy, which is we're the world's police. We fund wars at just no end and no end, and more concentrating on what the people in America need. Am I somewhere in the right train of thought?
Yeah, that would be more. That would be for the people to decide. And I don't believe the American people support funding. Being the world's police.
Okay, and I'm actually looking up something on the site now that I wanted to ask about because it really stood out for me when I read it. And usually, when I have candidates on, I always ask them what made them want to run because I think that backstory is important. So, and I know you're the campaign manager, you're not the candidate himself, but what is it that he says that made him want to either run for mayor and now change it up and say, you know what, I think I need to take my policies nationwide?
Well, I think it's an overall awakening in this day and age because we're in a unique age and a unique time where 63% of Americans are open to voting for an independent third party president. I mean, and that's only growing. So the need is there, the want is there. The people are looking for a new way, and we want to offer that. We want you a new choice to offer you this, bringing this to you, so you could choose a different way, something new.
I am so glad you brought that up because I've been reading those polls and I want to believe what you're saying because I support third parties. I've voted third party the majority of the time that I've been eligible to vote. But here is what I find a reality, and maybe you can tell me how your campaign is, or the candidate's campaign is going to work around this. People will say one of two things about third party candidates. Either that candidate is taking away a vote, in your case, it would be the Democrats, and making sure the Republican wins, or they'll say that a third party vote is a waste of time. Now, I know it can't be both at the same time, but talk about how this campaign is going to get around that. Like, how is the campaign going to reach those voters who may want to vote independent or for a Green Party candidate, but
Okay,
can't? They're believing the notion of, well, a vote for the Green Party is a vote for the Republican Party.
okay. First of all, we're not here to be play team red or blue. You know, America. We're here for all Americans. You know, Americans have the right to choose. You know, you can't have people take away their ability to choose. So everybody's voice is important. So yes, you could choose to we're running for the Green Party, but we're not just for, you know, just liberal, conservative. Those are all labels. We're here for the American human, and we believe that providing it, people would have a way if they had a new choice that they could come together around, because it's more about what we should be all for and not what we're against. Because right now we vote based on what we're against, and that we are more the same than we are different, and we need to focusing on what we can agree together. So that's why we're presenting this plan, and want to make sure that you understand this is the best plan, and that you can agree that we can do this now.
I also want to get into how the message about the campaign is getting out. Obviously, running for mayor and running for president are two totally different things. The budget is larger. The amount of space that has to be covered is different. Um, is is the candidate traveling to different states? And I know if he gets the Green Party nomination, that kind of goes away. But is he traveling into certain states trying to get that process started now in terms of securing support, or is he just waiting until he eventually gets the Green Party nomination?
So no, we're all focusing on all 50 states. We're not just wanting for just one or two states. We're wanting for all 50 states. And also we will be traveling to the 50 states. And in fact, we have a new format that we want to present to the people called the PPE, which we call the People's Presidential Plan Evaluation. It's a it's a whole new uh, it's a whole new format in alternate as a as an alternate to debate format, because the debate format is, is about, mostly slinging mud at each other, not having a real conversation on the actual issues and the solutions. So here we want to focus on the problems and the solutions that are being offered. So it's a three stage type of event, where the first stage, where we have people come in and commune and talk to themselves and figure out what are the most important issues for them and in their state. And then next we will have, you know a time for anybody that we have that's available. Hopefully, we're in talks right now with Dr. Shiva to try to get him to come in, uh, to then evaluate their plan against the issues, and then once they state how their plan affects the issues, like we do here, then we move on to waiting on the plan itself.
Okay, and then once the plan itself is completed, is there like an evaluation process?
Yes,
Um,
we will have evaluation. Get to vote. People will get to vote on where which on how well on a scale that plan fits that issue. So, whatever immigration, 1 to 10, so on and so forth, and on each of one of those, whatever the five issues are, and then at the end we'll get an average on who plan did what on each one.
okay, so I'm still staying on this plan because one part is not quite clicking, and I'm sure it'll click here in just a moment. So you get this plan. I'm just gonna assume it has like all the issues on it, and then you rank between 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or wherever the scale is. When you get those rankings, is this going out? Two questions. One, is this going out to all registered voters, all citizens, or just a sample size of citizens?
This will go to all the currently all the people present in the event, as well as the candidates, or whoever's presenting, and hopefully they would broader make it broader after that, and show more public viewing of what uh, the actual scores were.
Okay,
So
so you're not okay because I was thinking you were talking about the voters. You're talking about sending this sample to the candidates. Okay, now that makes sense. Sorry about that. I was like, there's something I'm not getting, and now you've
it's also the people participating that goes to the event, to all the participants of
okay.
the event.
So those would be in the audience per se to use
Yeah.
that loosely. Okay, understand. So I always talk to my candidates, the guests on this show about challenges that campaigns face because I think you know we're not team red or team blue, but a third party candidate, whether it's Green Party, Libertarian Party, Constitutional Party, doesn't matter, faces a harder road in terms of ballot access, fundraising, um, publicity, those type of things. Talk about the top three challenges the campaign is facing and what it is you're doing specifically to address those challenges.
Well, right now, as you know, sensitive, and I thank you for doing the work that you're doing because you're doing alternate media, and we need now more than ever you as the front line of alternate media to come and give people this new information. We have to get all independent media to come together and allow people to provide a whole new message to the people because nobody else is going to get to do it. You know, so first of all, that's why I'm saying thank you for doing this and what you're doing. And hopefully more independent media people would allow for the other voices to be heard. And that's I mean that's something that you have to take the risk in letting you do, and giving us the choice and the voice.
Yeah, but I think
And
what. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you know, and it's all about organization. It's all about organizing. It's all about coming together for the common cause of getting what we want. And that's that's what we in the Daví are about, a decentralized organization to try to bring in people and give them the power to go and make the adjustments they have in their own lives.
I think what I'm asking, well, and you answer it partially, but what I think I'm getting at is I've never ran for office. Don't think I ever want to. I haven't been involved in a campaign per se in terms of the daily ins and outs. There's got to be when you're performing your duties. There's got to be those three things that just absolutely frustrate you. There's, I would assume there would be. I know organizing can solve some of those things, but some of those things I'm like, I don't think organizing would solve. And maybe I'm wrong because I don't know. I have never been in a campaign, so I don't know. But there's got to be those things that frustrate you in terms of running your candidate's campaign.
I mean, we're used to focusing on what's frustrating. We got to focus on I guess it's always good to focus on what's the positives.
Okay,
What
that's
can we do and not worry about what we can't do? You know, you just got to keep moving forward. I mean,
yeah.
every failure is a learning experience to the road to success.
Now
And
you're. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were finished.
so the same thing every campaign has to face. It's always going to be it's always going to be the issues. But this one, we're doing something completely new where it's not just the widget structure that we have today. We're trying something completely new and trying to have a more decentralized method of communication that's reaching all the different parts of the country and trying to get America and try to get find what brings the people together. Because if we can't find the way to bring the people together, nothing's going to get solved.
That is absolutely true. Now, what I was referring to on the website that I kept trying to find was the Daví. No, I'm still
Davi.
getting Daví. Thank you. I'm
There you
not
go.
gonna get the Daví
Very important.
manifesto.
Remember the four letters. Davi. Davi.
I don't know why I can't get that out of my mouth
That's
right.
okay.
But
It's okay.
I'm going to get this before the end of this program. I'm going to get it.
Yes. Well,
But I was reading the manifesto, and there were some portions of it that really made sense to me. And then there were some I was like, okay, I don't really know about that. And so when I was reading it, I want to point out one, and I still can't find it. But instead of me trying to find it and not pay attention to what you're saying, I want you to talk about the purpose of the manifesto and like some of the highlights of it.
well, yeah, there's a lot of things that's dense about the manifesto, and I don't know if one I want to focus on that particularly because that's something that is just a window into understanding and getting you to think in a new way.
Okay.
So my I'm here to focus on trying to explain and show you explain a way how the campaign, how our thought, and how we operate and how we want to operate.
Okay,
You
that's a
know,
fair answer. That's a
so
definitely a fair
yeah.
answer. So I'll phrase my next question in this way. I always take several issues and I ask, especially the presidential candidates that I've spoken to. Um, I tend to ask some very, very difficult questions, and then some I just kind of make easy. So if you'll go along with me on this, it'll make the show much easier. So usually we already talked about one issue with the issue with America just pumping out money um, to the military industrial complex, but we can't seem to find money for Medicare for all, free college, um, paid family leave, um, a a increase in the minimum wage that's been 7.25 for at least the past 10 years. Where where did we go wrong at? Because it seems like the general America populace is for everything that I just said, but somehow the politicians either they're not listening or they're being paid not to listen.
Well, first of all, you bring up a quote that was reminds me of I believe the Canadian president said it was we have money to kill people, we should have money to help people. Roughly translate. Uh, and I think but your core of the question is like where we went wrong, and that is a deep issue, and I think it's mainly based on the incentive structure and how our system is designed to incentivize things that we don't want and not the things that we do want. So that's why we need to create a whole new system that allows us to use the power to get people involved and to incentivize what we actually do want. And this goes back to Earth Order. And in Earth Order, we actually have a completely different funding mechanism. So, uh, so we get to fund federally back into the this organization of Earth Order. It's a new organization, a like new institution, right? And then that way we could actually control the work, and so that people could buy into it and use the money from that organization, to fund the different things that we actually do need. So, so, and I think that's the best way of moving forward because instead of trying to reform the system, you know, because the only way it's just going to keep trying to recorrect itself. That's why but we can add a new system that allows us to get what we want by allowing us to push in our power what we want.
Okay, so here, pardon me, I'll ask it this way. So you're saying, and you're saying this consistently, is to push for what we want. What is exactly what we want? I think I know, but I would like you to explain it
Well,
because
this gets back to the voting system. So we will have a app which is a electronic voting system that allows us to then directly vote on the things that we want and in our communities. So imagine you just go and you could say suggest you want like a tree in the park or whatever, and you could that would then have a system whereby it would be posted and anybody could see that in the community, and then you then could vote on that and have that happen that way.
so this would this be in place of local government or would it be in cooperation with
it,
local
it,
government?
it'll be in cooperation with, it'll be on top of.
Okay, so in because I'm trying to think of how this works so I can fully understand it. So if we're voting at the local levels for a tree and the community says we want the tree, but the city council says we don't want the tree. And here's all the reasons why we say no, we really want all these trees because, they help control pollutants, et cetera, et cetera. But the leadership or the city council says that they don't want the trees. How would that sort of conflict be settled?
That would be settled. Uh, that would probably be settled on the between the earth order at federal level and then come down to the governor level. So it'd probably be, but why wouldn't the mayor do what we vote for? I guess that's what we should do.
I understand, and I had to bring that up because I know in our city we've been fighting for years to what we call defund the police and put the money into like social workers and stop increasing the city's funding of the police. They get almost, I want to say, $750 million. It's some ridiculously high number. We're like, okay, well, cut that and give some of the money to these organizations. And it's literally, in terms of our city council, it's in one ear and literally out the other.
Yeah, and that's because you know it's a detachment between the representatives and the people. So we have to we engage that and have a new system of reconnecting the representatives to the people. And if the government's not going to do a job, we have to. If they're not going to do their job, we have to go and we have to we have to be the ones to be participate in the government to actually do this. So this is giving you technology and ability to participate in your government and be more participatory and get the stuff and help get the stuff done. So the way so now that we know what we're talking, now that we know what we want to actually have done, you know, we can then push collectively to get the thing done.
Okay, that makes sense. That's where I was like having trouble because I'm thinking of, and this has happened in several cities across the country where, like the citizens absolutely want something, but the government is like, no, such as
Well, I
Medicare
mean,
for all. That's
yeah, I mean,
that's my number one issue is we need to make sure every American has free health care. Um,
well,
the
in our thought, we provide all healthcare costs are covered. All health costs are covered, and in our thought, we're going to do as part of federal it being federally funded. That's going to be part of the cost.
Understand. Okay, so we got some guests in here who decided to welcome seeing more. I understand I'm thinking this is your first time watching this program, so please subscribe. Please subscribe. Thank you, Complex Minds, aka Theist, for listening. I appreciate it. And of course, again, if you all have questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. I have several more because I'm still trying to, in my mind, get how this new system works. And of course, you did talk about the transition time. Um,
4 year
but
transition, yeah, 4 years.
yeah, for you did talk about the 4 year transition, which I think would definitely be needed because Americans, we're not the most active people when it comes to voting. Usually, most people I know don't vote, or they just, if they recognize their name, they'll vote for them, however or whatever. But what I wanted to talk about in terms of this system or this new way of governing that you're talking about. um
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have voice in their government because they're using an outdated system. And
right,
there
right.
was reasons for why our system was set up that way in the conditions that it was, because people had to go send a representative to Congress. So because you didn't have like a whole bunch of people moving to one place to actually talk, we have full telecommunications now. We have instant communications. And we
now
have all these things that allow for new possibilities.
now under
And
this new system, oh, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You go right ahead.
yeah, so this we're incorporating some of the latest technologies. Well, we're incorporating what we have the ability today, and what we can do with the technology we have today, in order to fully flesh out and give more ability to more people to interact with the system. And
Okay, so here comes my next question about this new system that I actually, this is another two-part question. So in this new system, would we be sending, like, would the state of Indiana still have like its 11 representatives, or would that just disappear?
no, we are not removing the current representatives. What we do is that we're allowing you to vote on the things directly yourselves. And if you do not want to vote, the representatives will still be there as a default.
Okay, okay.
So yes.
So, for example, and I'm just giving out this weird example, but we know every year, no matter who the president is, military funding always increases. It never. I've never seen any congressman, Democrat, Republican, or independent in Congress ever vote against the military's budget increasing. However, in every survey ever taken on this issue, it seems Americans are like, okay, we don't need to fund the military the way that we are. So, in the example, and again, because I'm trying to understand, so we would get to vote on whether the military increases its budget or not. Am I somewhere near close to what you're saying, or am I just far off?
Not wanting more than that, you'd be able to vote in, you know, a whole new you'd be able to vote in, the members, and vote in new different ways of actually coming to the decisions. So it's not limited to just voting no more military budget. It will go beyond that. Uh, and that's why the 4 year transition is important, because it allows us to vote for a whole new way of doing things by evaluating what we're not doing right, and voting and looking at what parts of systems are not working, and allowing you to help and change that.
Okay, so now that I believe I have a better understanding, I'm just going to repeat what I understand. So you're saying Congress doesn't disappear, the Senate doesn't disappear. They're there for as a backup or
I
backup.
I
I'll
I,
just use that word.
I mean, Congress is there, because it was a time when we chose them to be there, and this is a country that's built on the idea of by and of and for the people. And
Okay.
in order for in order for that to come to fruition, in order for a more perfect union, we the people need to come again and say, hey, this is not working, and let's go and decide we're going to do something different. We're going to make a new choice. So we're offering a new choice, and we could do something different, because right now, I mean, the Congress is trying to decide if they're going to keep getting funded or not, and they do this like every 4 or 5 months or whatever. And so they, they're there to fill their own ends.
I think what's confusing, I think what's getting me or what's kind of stopping me from fully understanding, um, you're saying that under this new plan, what I'm what I'm not understanding is what would the role of like the president be? It's I'm assuming
The
he's
pres-
still or she is still going to be signing legislation, but like what would be the specific role of the president under this new system that you're talking about?
well, the president is the enforcement mechanism of the system we currently have today. He presides. He's the he's the enforcer, and the president has the ability to create new institutions. That's the ability of the president. They create the CIA, create the FBI, you know, and even more. And the president has recently gotten even more powers abdicated by the Congress, like the Defense Act, which gave the president, frankly, for the president to go to war, even though that's normally a bill that needs to be passed by the House and Senate to go to war. So he would be the voice of the people.
Okay, so I'm getting it. Okay, last question about this new um, frame of government that you have, and I promise it'll be the last. Oh, we got another person in. Hello, Marlon. How are you? And everybody, again, put your questions in the comment section, um, because I'm staying on one issue because I'm trying to get a better understanding of what it is I read and how it's actually going to work. Um, and I'm just giving this as a general example. We know in certain states, women cannot access health care. Abortions are illegal in 25 states. And basically, it's a half and half. It's illegal in, um, okay, so what is your candidate's website?
Yes. So what you want to do is go to www.bydavi.com. That's https double dot double backslash www.bydavi.com, or just bydavi.com.
And we'll ask for that website at the end because
Yes.
that's the one question I always forget to ask people when I want them to come on. Like, what is your website? So I can put it in there, and I'm going to remember that for future guests. But I was going back to the issue of abortion. Legal in some states, illegal in other states. I always have felt like if abortion was put to a nationwide public vote, that the people themselves would vote to make abortions legal or restore Roe v. Wade, whichever. In the scenario of this new government that or new way of government that you're speaking of, how would the abortion issue play out?
I'm pretty sure it will play out the way you would imagine. Uh, I mean, the polls pretty show that most people are for, against, for the, for not for banning abortion. As to what the exact level of the type that they do accept is a matter of contention. Like, do you do it at 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever? But it's generally accepted that you should have the right to have an abortion. So I would assume that That's what we all agree on. We all agree that at some point abortion necessary.
Yep. And here's a question I didn't ask. Okay, so under the new system of government that you're talking about, it's a very important question. I can't even believe I didn't even think of it till just now. What would be the role of the Supreme Court?
Well, the role of the Supreme Court is to uh, is just to judiciate what and understand and interpret what the Constitution states.
So
So,
nothing would change.
yeah, I mean, if the people want the Supreme Court to have that change, they could have that option. But as it serves today, that's the primary role of the Supreme Court is just to interpret the laws in the Constitution. It's supposed to be a check on the Congress.
Well, the
So,
reason I asked the question about the Supreme Court is because I think, for example, them giving the states the right to control who has what person has or has does not have the right to an abortion was just it was too far reaching. And so I could imagine in a more conservative state like, I don't know, Indiana, I'll use the state I'm from. Our governor, our state senators that are majority Republicans have voted for bans and for bans. The people of the state, like we said before, they want it to be legal. I'm trying to think of a scenario where some person decides, okay, I'm going to bring a lawsuit to stop this law that everyone has clearly voted on. I think that's where I'm getting at. Can they still do that? Or once the people vote on it, that's it, and that's the way it's going to be. And
to bring a lawsuit against a
well,
law that's
okay,
passed,
right? Because what happened in the abortion case was there was a lawsuit in Mississippi, um, brought by a conservative that
yeah,
wanted to ban just pretty much ban abortions. That went to the Supreme Court, and that's what got Roe v. Wade overturned. Is because one person or one group brought up this lawsuit. So I'm thinking, oh, well, if we pass not even abortion, Medicare for all, anything that the people want, if we pass Medicare for all, some insurance company is not going to be happy that now we have free health care. I can't imagine it because they're going to see it, oh, we're putting you out of business. I could see lawsuits coming because they don't like the way that the people voted. So I'm asking the question of, is it once the people vote, that's just the way it is? Or do they have the mechanism to say, no, we don't agree with the way the people voted. We're going to take this to the courts.
okay, well, I believe that's a question of the efficacy of a direct democracy. So, yes, in democracy, you would have what the people voted for.
But I think what I'm
But
asking is that the last say? Is that just it and you're just lost? Or is there going to be some way they can sneak in and say, no, we don't like this?
I mean, I don't see how the Supreme Court. Okay, so what would happen? What would happen here? What would happen probably in this hypothetical scenario, right? Is somebody okay voted on healthcare and they didn't like the healthcare. Okay, then that would that would have to be constitutionally challenged. But then the people would then have to vote on changing the constitution part of that,
Okay.
or
That's
or,
what
or,
I'm saying.
or voting or therefore by voting the people in the Supreme Court as overruling them, saying this is what we meant. So
Right.
that
Mhm.
I think the problem is the interpretation of what the language is.
Right. Which is where I get
So
back to the courts is because they're so conservative um that I my
you could vote to expand the Supreme Court. You could vote to put in
that's a
more
good
judges.
point. That's an
There's
excellent
many
point.
ways of there's many ways of solving that hypothetical.
That
I
is an
mean,
excellent
we
point.
have solutions to these answers. I mean, how specifically which solution you find the best, that that's a matter of that's a debate you can have. But these solutions exist for how to get around that.
And I wonder, well, I wonder, here's one that I want to talk about, and I've never asked a candidate, I keep saying candidate, you are not the candidate.
No,
You're the candidate. Okay, so let me rephrase
that's
my,
okay. You know, and the candidate is not one person. Candidate is the whole
it's a
staff.
whole team. I
It's
know, but I'm
only,
saying, oh,
but no,
what would you do about?
I understand, and it's fine. I mean, well, we are brought up in a culture where we're thinking about personalities, and
Right. And that's where I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm going to
yeah,
get to Theus's question first, and then I'm going to come back with mine.
yeah. So that's why I want to impress to you and the audience, like, it's not about just the candidate, but it's like about the. We want to stress about the plan. Is this the best plan? Is this what we want? Do we want to have to continue where we're going down the road we're going down now? Or are we going to say
Right.
no? Is there a different way? And here, this is a different way. Do you want to go down this way? Much better way.
Oh.
It's the best way.
And if you could answer that question on the screen, Thea/Complex Mind Simple Man says, I may have missed something. Are you discussing the majority rule and the role of the Supreme Court? I certainly don't want a land of pure majority rule. I'm
I
not
mean,
sure if that was a question, but if you could address it, I would appreciate it.
again, this is efficacy of democracy question. So it's like, you know, we it's like if you believe in democracy, right? That is generally what it means to be in a democracy. It's like you're either for minority rule, like a small people, like making decision, or you're for majority rule. I mean, what we have to prevent from democracy from going out of control, if that's a thing, but we don't have democracy, would be the Constitution. But the Constitution is about the people, and that's so. I mean, if you're saying so, you saying like I don't want, I don't want it to be the end, the say to be the end all. It's to me like saying I don't really believe in democracy.
Okay, so things
Right.
that's a question for you. So I'm gonna move on to my question because I always get to these set issues. And so you can either answer yes or no if you want to expand. So we've talked about the role of the Supreme Court, the role of president. So I'm gonna no, I'm not. I'm not gonna ask that question. Um, on day one, the candidate gets elected, goes through the courts because I can't imagine the Democrats and Republicans just sitting down and saying, okay, we lost. That's just not how they roll. But the courts say, no, this is a legitimate election. You have to respect that Daví,
Yes.
you're going to be like, she's not getting it. But I'm going to try. I'm really going to try this. Daví, he's in. On day one, what is the top thing that he's going to do?
Well, in the first 90 days, we want to institute the authors. We will sign into, being that this entity, this new institution known as Earth Order, and then from there he would help and go through this. We will go through this transition where people will start voting, and he would help, and to him to help enact that was been voted for. Now, yes. Now the question is there going to be a fight? Well, how we got to fight every single step of the way. Everything we got and we fought for.
Yeah, I can imagine with the two parties with the lawyers. Like I said, when it happens, because I do believe a third party candidate will get to be president. I can't just imagine them just sitting there like, okay, we lost. And
Well,
maybe it's just me, but
well,
I'm
that's
like,
what I get to. You got to try and imagine a whole new possibility, a whole new way of thinking, because that you cannot solve the problems today with the same thing you used to create them. So we're just trying to create a whole new way of thinking, getting in a way of thinking and understanding of like, here, this is a choice that we can do something different, you know. And
absolutely
it's a problem for me, I gotta say, because you know it's hard trying to think of something that doesn't you can't see existing yet. You know,
right.
I had this issue one time before when I learned about something new called sociocracy. You know, which is a different parliamentary system than Robert's rules. You know, and it took me a good 3 to 4 weeks to try to fully engulf myself in that and understand what that means. You know, what is sociocracy? How does that work? What is, you know? So so the same way with that is like you're gonna have to go and like, okay, this is a new system, so we have to now delve in and try to figure out and try to, and the only way you could really get into it is just like is to be soon be a part of it and building it and being a part of it. Then it starts to become more ingrained in your reality instead of just being like an abstract concept.
Okay, now Thais has got probably the last question of the evening. I'm gonna skip your other one, Thais. I'm skipping it, but I'm gonna get to this question because I think it's a really good one. My concern is how do you protect the vulnerable and minority voices?
I mean, we're here for all American, all humans, and we want to build a floor in which all humans, all Americans, you know, will actually be able. We want to provide that floor so people could lift up and go and deal with things. So and choose the quality of life that they want. So this is not this will not be about like just the again this idea of tyranny of the majority is like it's every we want to cooperate them in a community. We're not just for like black, you know, we all these labels, black, white, you know, Republicans, all the labels. We want to bring together humanity and understand that we're more alike than we are different, you know.
I
So
have one. Well, no, I don't. Well, yeah, I do. I might as well just say it. So you're calling this group New Earth Order?
no, the organization, the institution is called Earth Order.
Earth Order. Okay, I
Earth,
don't know why it put
Earth,
new in front of it. Okay, I was like,
Earth,
maybe
Earth Order.
order.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know it's on the website, but if you want to, and I'm talking to the audience, want to read about that platform, I'm going to have you give the website one more ring here
Yeah. In fact,
because
what you can do there's 9 ways. There's 8 ways you can support us. Actually, you could sign up to our
yes,
email list. It's right on the homepage at buydavi.com, or you could sign up to volunteer at buydavi.com/volunteer, or you can donate to buydavi.com/donate. The campaign is not seeking federal matching funds. We're totally independent governmental organization. So was completely funded by the grassroots, you know, by the people, and which is the most important part there, because you know we're only accountable to the people that want to participate. Uh, we want you to share about Daví on social media and about our campaign and this new way of doing things. Also,
and
we would like to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
also invite you to attend the PPP in your state, the Presidential Planet Evaluation in your state, and into your beautiful spaces and to your environments to speak with you and your organizations. And we wanted also you to sign up as a Green Party member in your state if you can do so, to vote in the primary for Daví, and help your state get ballot access for the only human-centered party, even if it's just for this election cycle. And finally, and most importantly, plan to write in Daví for president in 2024 national election. Our goal is 80% of the American popular vote. Okay, so we're not worried about the media theatrics or just simply presenting the best quality plan for us, for America.
Thank you. I was going to ask you to give that website. And what I will do, usually after this, I go find the website once I'm editing. I mean, I won't edit the video, I let that play. But I put the link to the video in the description section. That'll be probably about 20 minutes from now. I want to thank you, sir, for coming. I really appreciate this. You really opened my mind up to um, a whole new way of thinking. Not that I've bought in 100%, but at least now I understand where the campaign is coming from, and that's going to make it's going to be really interesting. So for
And thank you
all,
again.
oh no, thank you,
And hopefully you help, and we'll all spread out the message, and we'll have more voices.
absolutely. And so what I want to invite everybody to do is share this video. Please share this video to your social media platforms. I'll be sharing it to my email list later on this evening. Remember, I'm not going to cover the president's address to the nation. I'm not going to waste my time. You all know how I feel about Biden. He's never met a word that he didn't love. I have no needs to sit to listen to him, but that's my opinion. So I always end it with this. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for those who didn't want to comment but watch anyway. If you watch this later, please remember to share your comments, subscribe to this page, um, support this page. You can visit and see this actual show on www.TRACYMediaLLC.com. That is my website. You'll see this program there right now if you go there and watch. Thank you again for coming. Have a great evening, and we will see you next Thursday. Even though we don't have a guest, I have a whole diatribe I'm going to be just spattering off. So join me next week. I will see you then, and have a great evening.
Have a good night.